Biloxi Memories and the Broadwater Beach Hotel is made possible by the Joe W. and Dorothy Dorset Brown Foundation and the Producers Circle, a group of generous contributors dedicated to the support of WYS's local productions, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Place where you can go. It's on the Gulf of Mexico, down in Biloxi. Every day, lots of fun and games to play. Let's go fishing in the bay, down in Biloxi.
Since 1848, the Biloxi Lighthouse has served as an enduring symbol of this coastal community. Biloxi continues to fascinate all who venture there.
I can remember as a child saying, I can't wait to get there, I can't wait to get there. And as you got closer and closer, you could smell, the sand and the beach and the water, and it was just beautiful memories.
I remember us just cruising the beach. We'd go to Keesler, check out the boys, college boys all over the place, looking for beach parties, whatever. That was a lot of fun.
We'd chase girls at the pools, At 16, you have high goals and a lot of disappointments.
I think people who love the water and who love the beach, they simply miss it. They don't feel whole when they're away from it.
And as you can imagine, if anyone was visiting this area, there was nothing like the Broadwater. In its heyday, it was absolutely the jewel of the coast.
We picked the Broadwater because everybody went there.
You had family coming into town who were staying at the Broadwater, so you get to go over there and play in the pool. And, it was an oasis.
We went there so often that it was almost like a second home.
The Biloxi coastline has long attracted dreamers, explorers, and entrepreneurs. On February 13, 1699, French-Canadian Pierre Le Moyne, Sieur de Iberville, landed on the Biloxi Peninsula. Iberville named it Biloxi for the Native American tribal group who were hunting and fishing in the area. In 1803, under the Louisiana Purchase, the entire Mississippi Gulf Coast became part of the United States. In 1811, Louisiana Governor William C.C. Claiborne sent Dr. William Flood to survey the population. Claiborne's emissary reported on the Creole families that settled there, and then made a fortuitous prophecy. The high, sandy soil, beautiful bays and rivers would provide an antidote to the unhealthiness of the climate of New Orleans.
Most of our early tourists came from the New Orleans, Mobile area. People needed to get out of the cities during the hot part of the summer. There were lots of issues that they needed to get away from, and then come 1871, the railroad comes through that ties New Orleans to Mobile, and tourism takes off in that period.
Construction of cottages, boarding houses, and small Gulfside hotels sprung up along the coast. By the mid-19th century, centrally located Biloxi earned the title Queen of the Watering Places. The summer homes of the Toledanos, the Howards, and other well-to-do families lined the beachfront. People and goods arrived by skiffs, schooners, and small packet steamers. They docked at piers that extended far out into the water. As the sun's rays intensified, visitors and residents flocked to the piers to cool off. For the more daring, public piers offered a variety of amusements, including one called the Shoot-to-Shoot. Beach attire evolved and swimsuits became more fashionable. Bathing beauty contests were all the rage.
The winners were from all over. They had the Miss Biloxi contest, the Elks Club put them on in the early 1900s.
In the 1926 All-Southern Elk Pat Bathing Review, Mabel Wiley of New Orleans won first place. And in the 1928 Elk Pat pageant, Mildred Garrison of New Orleans was the Beauty Queen winner. In 1955, diesel power trains, such as the Hummingbird, brought travelers to the Mississippi coastline, dubbed the American Riviera. With an increased influx of tourists, downtown Biloxi grew, as did the need for more deluxe accommodations. Following World War II, the older establishments were given a facelift, while new, more modern hotels offered a range of amenities, restaurants, pools, and bars.
Biloxi was an entirely different place, entirely different. Whiskey was illegal, but whiskey and bars were everywhere. It was a wide open area.
Pete Martin's Broadwater Beach Hotel, with its Art Deco facade, catered to the out-of-state gambling crowd. Across the highway, a 600-foot fishing pier led to a beach house with a dancing pavilion and a casino with sports results.
And at that point, the gambling on the Gulf Coast was, while it was tolerated, it was still the type where you went up to the door, knocked on the door, and the little window would open, and the guy behind that little window would look at you and case you out, and if you passed, well, you were permitted to go in.
By the 1960s, a new owner had transformed the Broadwater from a gaming venue into the pleasure dome of the Gulf Coast.
Yes, Joe Brown purchased the hotel because he was doing a favor for his friend T.W. Richardson, who owned the hotel and who wanted cash to go to Vegas and buy into the new frontier in Las Vegas. At that time, Mr. Brown was ill, and after he died, it didn't take Mrs. Brown long to realize that she needed some kind of a project to take her mind off her husband and to keep herself busy, and the Broadwater Beach renovation was a natural.
Under Dorothy Brown, the former Art Deco hotel took on a mid-century modern flair with a sweeping front canopy.
When you pulled up to the Broadwater, it was magnificent to us. It was, I can imagine, as in today's world, it would be something like the Bellagio. But to us, it was the Broadwater Beach. In its heyday, it was the place to go.
Two men were instrumental in implementing Dorothy Brown's grand design. Her nephew, T.M. Dorset, tasked with overseeing the project, and skilled millwright Eddie Johnston of Chalmette, Louisiana.
So when T.M. had the job of redoing the hotel, why, he asked Eddie and his family to come over to Biloxi.
He called my mom and said, "Honey, we're moving to Biloxi."
Mrs. Brown's renovations encompassed the entire 240-acre property.
She was a trooper. She really knew how to run a place like that.
Although there was an existing pool on the property, Dorothy Brown wanted a new, more glamorous pool area.
And she just got on a plane, went to Hawaii, and spent 2 weeks there looking at swimming pools there, because that was a big thing then.
Finding a design she liked, the indomitable Mrs. Brown ordered construction to begin immediately on the new Lanai pool.
She knew what she was doing, she knew what she was wanting, she knew how to get it. It was a 3-level pool, one for regular swimming, one for ladies, and the ladies had tables in the water where they could be served drinks or whatever in the water, and then a little kids' pool.
The luxurious Lanai rooms overlook the dramatic new spa-like Lanai pool. New Orleans bride Leslie Landry enjoyed the Lanai rooms so much with husband number 1 that she insisted on coming back with husband number 2.
Well, the first time I went to the Broadwater was in the 60s. I went for my honeymoon, and they had just built the new marina, and it was glamorous.
A decade later, this repeat bride returned.
Oh, I went back for my second honeymoon. About 10, 12 years later. It was my second husband, and it was in the 70s, and wanted to go back to the Broadwater. And so again, stayed in the Lanai room, hung out at the Trophy Lounge.
Husband number 2 had little to say in the matter.
He was like, "We're going to the Broadwater." And I remember him saying, "Really? I know you went there for your first one." I said, "Well, that's where I want to go."
The Broadwater Beach Resort was also favored by a long list of celebrity clientele. Mrs. Brown's guests gave high marks to her new decor. The former grill room became the fashionable and upscale Royal Terrace.
The Royal Terrace was pink and white with crystals everywhere. They had crystal wall sconces, chandeliers playing, and it was a hot lipstick pink. They did tableside cooking. They would do the Caesar salad, the steak Diane. They would flame the bananas Foster.
The Royal Terrace was equally notable for its live music.
Leon Kellner's orchestra, who played New Orleans Roosevelt Hotel for many years, was there with us many years, and he was very popular.
I not only recall him very well, but we were sort of buddies. Leon was a character.
Many people came to see him from New Orleans that they were familiar with his music.
My wife and I would go with couples from New Orleans many times and stay at the hotel and eat at the Royal Terrace and dance to his music.
Kellner recorded some of the favorite tunes from the Royal Terrace in his Takin' It Easy album.
Kathleen Kuhl is the one that performed with Leon prior to me being his singer. She was in the Miss Mississippi pageant and won Miss Mississippi in '73. When I went in the Miss Mississippi the following year, Kathy crowned me. So Leon actually had 2 ladies sing for him that were both in the Miss America pageant in consecutive years. I love to sing and I love to perform. So to me, that was a dream job. I worked in the evenings and had all my days off. So as a young person, we usually hung out by the Broadwater pool.
Mrs. Brown's hotel offered the best and the newest in service and amenities. In 1966, when Mississippi became the last state to repeal Prohibition, the Broadwater was ready.
You had to apply for an alcohol beverage permit. And the Broadwater Beach held the first one. I believe it was 7 zeros and a 1. And we received the first delivery from the state, and it made the news because it was a big deal.
Dorothy Brown transformed a casual dining area into the Trophy Lounge and added signature touches in honor of her husband and their prized racehorses.
Well, the Trophy Lounge was a delightful piano bar area. It was a small, intimate type lounge. It was a bar as well as table seating. There were niches created in the walls with a shelf on which some of Mrs. Brown's trophies were displayed.
So our special drink was the Daily Double, and it was a short red glass with the horses going around it. And the mixture was quite strong. It started out with brandy, Cointreau, and rock and rye, which was very hard to get back there. It had lemon juice, orange juice, and it's topped with 151 rum.
The Daily Double was a favorite with entertainers. Premier ballet dancer Mikhail Baryshnikov and his troupe made quite an impression at the Trophy Lounge.
They were rowdy, they smoked like crazy, drank like crazy, and a lady sitting to his right was one of the dancers. She wanted to go somewhere, and he was sitting down and picked her up in the chair. She cocked her feet out and put her down over there. Like, do that again.
While the Broadwater's clientele was often high profile, Dorothy Brown also created more affordable apartments and cottages for families and large groups.
And we'd go to the Broadwater on Labor Day weekend. It was a whole group of people, like a community of people.
It was just a big family reunion, and it was like you talking about 200 people.
That was a big part of our business, our repeat business. And New Orleans people stayed there so often. They knew the hotel as well as we did.
We used to get the same room every year, used to get the ones right behind the back pool, right next to the big oak. That was like our spot. And then it got to be my dad's side of the family, my Aunt Angie and Uncle Cinto and all the Donzis. It got to be a multi-family event.
I could say over the years we stayed almost in every location. We stayed in the cottages, we stayed in the back, we stayed in the lanai rooms when they first were open.
We weren't a wealthy family, and that's where we spent our vacations. So all year, anything that ever happened revolved around August Labor Day weekend at the Broadwater Beach. We would stay in cottages and our families would cook.
So many people brought so much food. I mean, we never had to go anywhere.
I can remember that Jackie Caminita's mother used to bring hot tamales.
Glenn made tiramisu. Well, I love tiramisu. No matter where he was, I was going to go find that because I loved it, you know.
We came from a big Italian family, so there was always lasagna and Italian sausage and meatballs and spaghetti.
Our cottage, especially my dad's, where he was like a short order cook, it was like a revolving door. It wouldn't be nothing for 30, 40 people to be walking in and out of the room at any given time.
At the rear of the property, there was a large pool for families. There were diving contests. And swimming contests.
They gave little trophies up. Now this was from the Broadwater. This is Mrs. Brown she would produce these things and give them to them in the back where the pool was. Oh, and you would think the kids won $1 million.
Oh, it meant a lot to us. We had people come back years after that and tell us we still have our trophy. I mean, they were proud of it.
Miss Brown that was running the place at that time, it was kind of like what you see in the movies, the old resort type places.
There was a playground for the little ones with swings, slides, a merry-go-round, and a snack bar in the back.
The kids would just go run around. They ran around the whole Broadwater. I mean, they playing hide, go seek, all of that. And so we never ever had to worry about them, not ever.
My cousin Jeff Denis, when we were kids, his favorite thing at the Broadwater, one of his favorite things was we'd go out at night and roam the property, and they had this old security guard that would drive around in a golf cart, and he'd park it and go off and do something. And he always found it funny to jump in the cart and just drive off. And the security guard would come chasing after us, and we'd drop it off someplace and run.
And my daughter Cheryl and Roxy, they just loved going to the Broadwater. They played with all the rest of the kids around there. They walked around the grounds. They even had a little train, a little small train that would start in the front and go very slow around.
It ran all around the whole Broadwater. It would drop people off. It was just strictly for the kids.
Oh my God, the train. The train was amazing. We loved the train.
They had family night, they had games. I remember playing bingo and almost winning.
There was a show, a talent show, sometimes called the Gong Show. If they didn't like you, they took a hook and they just pulled you right off.
The Gong Show was really funny. That was really funny. And I mean, no matter what you did, you got gonged. We gonged everybody.
They had some girls that would go there, beautiful girls. They would come out in their little bathing suits and they would perform. They started wearing costumes like they do in Las Vegas. And I'm telling you, they would come out parading like that. My husband used to do the MC of it all the time. And they'd go around and they'd collect money from everybody that was sitting in there. And the reason for it was the Jerry Lewis Telethon.
We would keep going back to the Broadwater because we had good memories of going there when I was little, and I brought my children there because I thought they would enjoy it and I would enjoy going back to visit it.
There were several years when we would pack up on a Friday, go to the Broadwater Beach with pots and food and alcohol and everybody in tow. Then all of a sudden, Nash Roberts would come on and say, "Everybody, beware, get off the Gulf Coast if you're there." So we would pack everything up, put everybody in the car, go back to New Orleans, wait for wait for the warnings to leave, and then we'd pack everybody up in the car and go back to the Broadwater. So that's how much we loved the Broadwater Beach.
It was something to look forward to, except, I can say this, except when we go there for Labor Day, because in those days, school started the day after Labor Day. So Labor Day itself would be pretty depressing. And I remember many times after the Edgewater Mall had been built, they had a department store called Gayfer's. We have to go to Gayfer's to buy school uniforms, and that just, ruined the whole weekend.
Mrs. Brown's deluxe resort had a full range of sporting activities, with 4 tennis courts and 2 golf courses, the Sun Course and the Sea Course.
Whatever she needed, she built. We had a par 3 golf course there, which of all things were lighted at night, and that was a first.
It was so much fun because it was created for families, and little kids would get out there with their parents, and it was such a joy to see them having a ball, just running around and hitting it all over the place.
We had no clue how to swing clubs.
The Broadwater Beach Hotel continued to expand.
Across the way was a beautiful marina where you could drive out and there was boats and you could fish off of the seawall.
It was a big area. You could go in to the right and go straight back to the marina, or you could go to the left and circle around to a huge park-like area. People had picnics where the little kids could run around, and it was just a delightful place. And the boat slips were state-of-the-art. I mean, lots of people from New Orleans would engage a slip for the weekend or for a week or for a summer.
They always had these fabulous yachts in the marina, so it was always fun to walk around and look at them and wish you had one.
I had friends over the years in the 70s and the 80s that would bring their boats to the marina. And there would be maybe 20 of us that would go out to Ship Island and just have a great time out there. I mean, Ship Island had the fort, they had the beach.
Mrs. Brown kept 2 boats at the Broadwater for her guests and visiting VIPs.
Several times Mrs. Brown's skipper would bring my family and I from New Orleans